Sí, Sebastian and Connie.
Can you write for me in the general channel, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And your Jessica is by Jessica Luz.
Airline. Airline.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon. We are very, very happy to be here on this live, the opening live for Tibum Residency. Tibum Residency is a residence that we are making in partnership with Hackathon, and it's an online program in which participants will be instigated to take a deep dive in NFTs. We are looking forward to bring freshness into the crypto world. All the residents are here today, and they are encouraged to experiment with NFTs, to create art, to develop codes and solutions, and to think ways to educate about NFTs and blockchain. I am Thais Cochino, and me, Coxa, and Mariana Destro, we are the coordinators of this first edition of Tibum Residency, and we also are going to have special mentor guests that are, our first one is Rafael, our crazy patchwork, and then we're also going to have Alexandre Rangel, Lionel Hudson, Moon HMZ, and Nicole from Vertical Crypto. And the selected projects for the first edition of Tibum Residence are Menor Portando from Social Crypto by Jean, Beyond Art by Science Studio, Distant Bodies Still in Friction by Jessica Luz, and Menchita Down, Chilean Media Art Collective. Network of Latin American Artists in Crypto Art by Connie Lobos and Sebastian Rojas. And now each person will talk about a little bit about their projects, and then we're going to have an amazing talk about education, blockchain technology with Rafael. So maybe Jessica, you could start.
Hey everyone. Well, I'm Jessica Luz. I am a visual artist living and working in Curitiba, Brazil. During my trajectory, I've worked teaching engraving techniques as well as an art director and animator in a couple animation films, short animation films. Also as an illustrator, sometimes a designer. And in the past 4 years, I've been dedicated to tattooing. So along with those practice, I developed my artistic research in the intersection of drawing, installation, and video. And these are exhibited in local cultural spaces and some museums in Brazil. So, as well as that, I am a member of an art collective called Brutas, among other 4 extraordinary female artists. And our work is also exhibited in galleries and fairs, book fairs, that promote independent editorial or graphic material such as zines, publications, books, posters, stuff like that. So I joined Hikatnung in early March, I guess, with the project of an animated graphic novel that is called Soft Dread. So since I've always wanted to make a comic book, and an animated one seemed to make sense as NFT. So I was drawing and releasing each page daily. So each page was an individual NFT that combined into a comic book of 22 pages long. So you can check them in my hand profile or in my Twitter. There is a thread where they are organized in the reading order. So my ongoing research is named Distant Bodies Still in Friction, and it started a few years ago. It's around matters of affective relationships, more specifically about the political and the social implications in this sphere of private life. So my proposal for Tibum is to continue to develop this artistic research and try to explore it by a new angle. And that angle is to how internet, how virtual interactions are changing the way we relate and we approach intimacy. So I'm interested in exploring how technology changes our perspective in regard of those topics. And the overall idea for the residency is to create a piece or a couple of pieces that interacts with the blockchain, being this interaction being activated by the action of collecting it. So, for example, in an image that is formed by dozens of layers of images, where in each time it is collected on the primary market, one layer is deducted or subtracted from the image source until it is left blank. So the reason I'm choosing to work with those operations is first because I am interested in how collectively we can transform and we can resignify an idea. And secondly, because I like to relate this process to the process of getting to know someone better, the process of intimacy itself, where at times first you meet with the ghost of a person, a projection of sorts of the individual, and little by little you clear the noise and you reach the core from where more honest connections can be formed. So my work will be aesthetically developing around those concepts, and these would be the guidelines I will work with in the weeks to come. And I guess that's it.
Thank you, Jessica. Now, Connie Lobos and Sebastian Rojas could present a little bit more about Mentita DAO.
We will share some slides.
Okay.
Hi, Tibum.
Rojas. We are interested in media art, sound art, and algorithmic art.
We formed an experimental creation laboratory in 2018 And we have played, at first, we mainly played in concerts of experimental electronic music and improvised live coding sessions. And we have made some workshops too in these live coding environments. We joined Iketnuk in March 8th as Hypercorpora, where we have minted some of our experiments with generative and interactive pieces in Hydra video scene and machine learning models. We are also part of a collective, algorithmic arts collective called Top Lab Valdivia and media arts collective called Poster Nube. We will show some of our pieces.
Eh, no, desde acá. Um, our, our project is a collective platform for the spreading and circulation of knowledge related to digital art, NFT, and blockchain, focused on Latin American artists. It seems important to us to generate Spanish-speaking spaces, given that we detect that there is some distance to other artistic networks because of the language.
Our project emerges from the necessity to generate a discussion about the development of NFTs in our Latin American context, where we will relate with artists from different trajectories and backgrounds, and also with the purpose of being a tool for the financial autonomy of digital artists, a thing that has been really hard or not possible in other ways in Latin America.
Or, or mainly objectives are involving artists with different trajectories to empower themselves mutually, generating discourse local, build a creative and poetic space where the financing is seen as a possibility for autonomy, generate critical dialogue around NFTs in our South American context, given tools to artists to encourage participation.
The things we want to make in this residency is to provide a collective gallery of Latin American artists in Iketnuk platform to promote critical thinking spaces about NFTs and blockchain, and to carry out activities that promote digital education.
Ese es el resumen.
That is like the resume.
Thank you. We have a question on YouTube. From Gerardo Cotera, ¿cuál es la dirección de la DAO?
Creamos recién perfiles en redes sociales y en Iketno. En Twitter nos llamamos Mentita DAO.
And in every
In every social network.
His project, Menor Portando.
Okay. All right. I don't have a presentation, but I have a text to help me to explain the project. So the project Menor Portando is from Social Crypto Art. That is a project that want to bring the power of NFTs and the crypto art for the social cause. So we are developing some actions to help the Morro Santo Amaro, that's a slum located on Rio de Janeiro. So my name is Jean Guilherme. I'm 21 years old, and I'm a product designer student, and I work with some 3D, motion graphics, and photography, audiovisual. So I live on Morro Santo Amaro. It's a favela on Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So for me, as a young who live in favela, to be here, it's very crazy. Talking about technology, talk about the futures, talk about crypto. So I'm very happy to be here. And all right, so the social crypto art is bring the power of NFTs for the social causes. And I started on Hiketnunki on March, I think. Yeah. So it's too crazy because it's look like the double of months. And all right. The project is consists on exploring different paths followed by teenagers from the slums, like me, and the impact caused by the system it surrounds and the laws that rule our way of living. The whether governmental, social, or parallel power, the drugs trafficking. So those young people who break barriers, and even with all the adversity, contradict statics every day. And so we are directly influenced by the NGOs, the non-governmental organization. So it have a real impact in a life of, of a young who live on the favela. So it's it's very common to for us to live with guns around us, and you see like it's not a normal thing. It's different to appear with an Oculus, a VR. So it's really crazy. So I want to talk with about the future here in my community. So okay, so I want to make a tribute for all the life saved, because it's a really important work that so many people do doing this work with the NGOs. So I will explain the term. So the term menor means a teen who lives in the slum, and the idea of the project is to represent this menor carrying something. So this thing can influence and change his or her life, and portando means carrying, and can also be used for on the sense in the sense of showing off something. So for example, a people who is carrying a gun, for other kids or young, he's a man of who have the power. So he turns kind of the reference. So and it's influenced directly. So we want to talk about these influences. So okay, and there will be different menores. the main characters, each one with his path. And this first step, we I chose the three teenagers. So each one will be talking about one thing. So these teenagers will be youngs who live here. Mm, so I chose three different things to represent and carry and carried by these teens. So the first menor will be carrying an AK-47 to talk about the crime, and he will represent the influence that the crime may have in his life. I'm sorry. Uh, all right. Mm, the violence, the surrounded by violence, guns, and drugs. So the second menor will be carrying a skateboard and skateboarding, and so we will talk about the sport and the impact that it causes. And he will have a project called Ademafia Institute that gave some skateboard sessions for the children. So we are very I do part of this project too. And the 30 teenager will be a a menor carrying a VR glass. So we will talk about the technology, and he will represent the influence that of the technology in a positive way, and talking about the future for those who don't think about the future, because it's not a it's not something that the young people they talk about, because they talk about other things. They talk about the trafficking. They talk about guns. They talk about the music, the funk, and it's very horrible to talk to see somebody talking about crypto, about art, about technology. So we will be talking about this. And so the whole process will be done with 3D scan technology and made from image using cameras to capture in high quality for a better result in the post processing. And so this process is called photogrammetry. So it will transform image 2D plan image in 3D mesh. So I think it's the best way to capture the reality, because we are talking about the reality. We are talking about true things. So I think the nothing better to talk about the reality, capturing it. So I have I have I think that's it. Next, it's my schedule for my organization. I think, yeah.
Thank you, Jean. And now, Gus and Sanku, can you present Beyond Art?
Hi everyone, are you hearing me? Okay, let's start. I will share my simple. A moment, please. E aí, o que você vendo? Tá aparecendo?
Sim, tá aparecendo uma tela preta.
Ok. Vai, então. Let's go without the screen. Yeah, our project is beyond art from our space, the Science Studio. My name is Gustavo Rates, aka Gus. Anderson is Anderson Oliveira, aka Sang. We came from Recife. We are from Recife, Brazil, and we are primarily and you are hearing me? Are you hearing me? Okay. Are you hearing me?
It's okay.
Okay. I will try to send the presentation to facilitate. I sending the presentation in the Discord general.
Okay.
Aí vai sim. No. Okay. Does everybody see now?
Foi.
Foi?
Yeah.
Let me share my screen. Do you guys see it?
See? Yeah.
Like I was saying, are you seeing?
Yes, I think everyone's seeing, right? Or I think
Yes, I think you can use the Thais screen. He left.
Yeah, I think maybe his internet was a little bit slow. Maybe we can wait a little bit, see if they come back.
I thought that it was really interesting.
Let's wait 1 minute and see if they come back. I think if they don't come back, we can just continue and listening to Rafael talks. Then if they come back, we can they're back.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah,
We having some
let's try
internet
again.
problems. We collected. So let's go. Yeah, we project is beyond the art. From our studio, the science studio. I'm Gustavo Rates, aka Gust, Anderson Oliveira, aka Sang. We came from graffiti background. We do graffiti for 15 years now. We make art for a long time too. Uh, but we trying to converge our works in a technological and digital world. And we started the science studio some months ago with the vision to collide the technology, basic technologies with art production. And all these NFT and crypto art thing came in a very appropriate moment for us. The Hiket Nuki is something that change our lives, our models of production, and emerging in our worlds. So we our project for the Tibum residence is based slide down. According to WWF, almost 90% of the world waste is not recycled. And we came from this perspective of sustainability in the real world and not only in the digital world. We know that all the Hiket Nukem, all the Tesos projects have these sustainability team around. And in the NFT market, this is a current discussion about environmental problems and energy consumption and etc. So we focus on encourage the discussion and action about sustainability, creating connection between platforms that think of art and technology as tools for change. And we already worked projects this one and that wanna change things in that way. So we started to look at Pimp My Carroça. That is a project here in Brazil. There is a pan on Pimp My Ride, but Pimp My Carroça. There is a problem that is a movement that try to art through technology. So here is his Instagram page. Here's some pictures of his actions, and they focus their work on try to bring the catadores from invisibility and try to provide some basic way of living for them. In here in Brazil, 90% of the recycled material is catched by the hands of the catadores, and we think there is a so many parallels between what they do in Pico Carroça and what we can do with NFTs and in Hicket Nuke and with NFTs and the crypto world in general. So we started to talk with Bruna. There is a friend of us that work with the Pico Carroça in some projects and try to imagine what we can do together. And we think that primarily we can bring artists that already working on projects from Pico Carroça, painting carroças. There is this vehicle used to picking recycled material. The most common action in Pico Carroça is to paint and to restore carroças and bring them to know what is happening in the NFT, in the crypto world, and bring their vision of how they work with Macarroça, and at the same time bring people from the crypto world to see the projects. Este é resultado que na web. To see the project, the projects of Pico Carroça and understand the parallels. We try to leave this conversation run to see what results can we can get of this interaction. The Residency will provoke artists to reflect on sustainability, creating parallels between the challenges of recycling in the world of art through the production of NFTs, whose will raise funds for actions such as Cesta Básica para os Catadores. That is a action that provide alimentation, basic alimentation for the catadores, and as well as a debate on the theme in lives and production of educational material to bring to light the vision of, we think too that the vision is something that we need to bring to light. We need to constantly work in bring to light to remove this image of in Ethereum or in another blockchains. So is that. I want to apologize for my English, but I think we have a good work to do in the next days, in the next weeks.
Thank you, Gust. I think your English was good. Maybe the internet wasn't so good, so sometimes your sound broke a little bit, but I think everyone understood what you were saying. Or maybe if you have some questions, you can ask on YouTube. And now I'm going to invite Rafael to talk and share his visions.
Thanks everyone. Really interesting thoughts, provoking thoughts. The Tibum Residency was indeed for the idea to bring it, was to push some discussions, and right now indeed it's focused on emerging countries maybe it has a different contribution for us to, for example, this process of like creating software, or how educate people about software. Maybe the accessibility, our view for its accessibility can be different, maybe for deal with some issues. uh, there were some things that really provoked me, in the sense like, NFT, they for being decentralized, using decentralized tech, it should provoke decentralization and media decentralization, right? So, for example, what we consume as media, there is a different way of a more as a craft, when also related to NFTs, and you can also disrupt like what people can consume, with NFTs, or bring things to think, to question reality indeed. For example, there was recently these events on Colombia, right, and it affected the NFT community. There was some events of conflict, of police conflict that happen sometimes, and sometimes it is used also, as media activism. And it's interesting for us to think like how we can make stronger connections, but yes, like media activism or like code activism um, has a lot of this open source spirit, and I believe of community and coding. Making accessible code is a weapon, right? For example, if you do, it's a way of presenting other elements to reality, or so for us to play with, or transform, to compose our landscapes. But yes, like the idea of the Tibum residency would be indeed bring content and bring more people to immerse in the blockchain space, in the crypto space, and possibly like people could design over it more other social modes of organization in it, so it is a project that we can build together. It is focused on, indeed, like in third world countries, but it is open for contributions from the whole community. We invite the community to participate, possibly, and help us build these like seminars or workshops around it, so we can have public contents, also educational contents, that can there are some ideas. For example, this is still related to possibly just sharing some thoughts. There is indeed some parts on Hiketnunk that are provoking, even for me, that I want to learn still, like how to develop some things, building upon of Hiketnunk. So this can bring us some possible paths, and it's interesting, I don't know, to explore the unknown. I think that there is a tension. For example, the design of a DAO, maybe the right time for networks built, and it can change many. It can bring many insights for us on the run. So yes, there are like two topics that I'd like to share. Still, one is still about social relations with technology. That's, for example, there are also some other NFTs that usually raise funds, right, for specific events. So we're, at least I was trying to think these days about this, how to protect this media economy, how to protect these assets, and in this decentralized world, and this idea of DAOs indeed, and how could we, I don't know, be autonomous, each one be autonomous, and have open frameworks for them to have their own voice, because sometimes also having a platform, it, I don't know, I feel that there is a responsibility on trying to work towards other modes of autonomy, So it's interesting to think, indeed, how this technology can foment, bring the voice, I don't know, by audiovisual means, or teaching people how to do interactive NFTs, or experimenting with other programming tools. So it's interesting to have maybe token economics around collectives, and and slowly build these networks of trust, and maybe other yes. So still, it is an open program for us to, for example, design next steps or next editions. We'll try to experiment with some things that are also, for example, that there is many potential right now on interactive NFTs, on audio NFTs, and on 3D. So we could use this technology or its magic, or try to produce more magic around these technologies, So yes, these are ways of expressing voices, but yes, it's really interesting to be taking part. I try to contribute mostly. I've been more focused in developing blockchain applications, and the help that I can give for us to try to think and know how to make autonomous organizations. I'll be at disposal, for us to think this around media, in this process of considering this process of educating and have open source of knowledge. There is a lot of, indeed, blockchain has a lot of responsibility. I believe in this, in decentralizing knowledge, or presenting this media that is not common, to find. Like many technologies nowadays, like open libraries, right, use these technologies that we are using, for storing human knowledge, for humanity, for us to share, indeed, books, like PDFs and stuff. So there is a resilience in this mode of on this media, on this technology, and maybe we should indeed try to experiment with it and its limits, But yes, that's some brainstorming. I hope that we can build some more tools around HIC also, and around projects. It's really interesting for us to think also on mapping different efforts, how we can how we can propose blockchain projects, how we, so also interacting with other institutions, foment the creation of such projects, and its, but also having its autonomy, But yes, the idea indeed is experimental laboratory, right? So for us to experiment with developing speculative projects, and building connections, but yes, like it's good. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be building this community with this discussion with all of you and with the community. And that's it. I'll be around also as I don't know any directions that I can give. Also, I'll try to help. Oh yes, I don't. Yes, people don't know me a lot. I don't. I think I rushed everything, but yes, like I found it hic more as a there is this DAO, this whole DAO thing, and but maybe indeed there is this, you know, centralized thought is a bit vicious. It's interesting for us to, you know, we can reproduce this DAO around here. I believe it's a strong network, and we can also try to, of course, try to bring other collectives beyond Latin America, you know, to use these frameworks and participate in these discussions. There are many indeed. Many collectives that I believe that would benefit from this technology, or to think alternatives, economical alternatives sometimes, or indeed, or just knowledge economy, right? People talk also about creative economies, but there is a lot of this, like how to bring knowledge indeed about these tools, how to enable, indeed, make accessible blockchain and make accessible sometimes critical thinking, you know, or how to make accessible art indeed. But thanks. I'm looking forward for a next encounter. I don't know if Kosha or anyone else have comments also or questions in the YouTube.
Thank you, Rafael. I believe you don't have any questions on YouTube. I would like to reinforce what Rafael said, that Tibum Residence is also some kind of open project that we are building and experiment to see the best way that we can create this environmental to build and develop critical thoughts about blockchain technology, accessibility, and NFTs, and something that is since the beginning of Hackathon, as you can see with HDAO, is this idea of decentralized autonomous organization. So we also want to think how these autonomous organizations can work and how can they be sustainable in a way that create more of a circular economy, that everyone keeps getting enough to keep doing what they want. So we want to tension and think about these limits to build something with this blockchain NFT area that's now it's very new for almost everyone. So, and if you are watching this and you have any proposals like workshop ideas or just talks, we are open to hear. And I believe that's it. Anyone would like to add something? No? So I wish you all good night, and hopefully we'll see each other this month a little bit more with more activities from Tibum. And That's it. Bye.
Bye.
See you. Thanks.